Get started with our Kirk County Fair Goat Show. We're going to start over here on the north side of the ring with the goats. And then as soon as we get done with this FFA class, we'll start the sheep show with our FFA sheep. Entering the ring is our one and only goat exhibitor in the FFA. This is Andrea McNary with her 94-pound goat. Our judge for today's goat show is Mr. Jared Collins. Jared comes to us from Yamhill, Oregon, where he is an ag science and technology instructor at Yamhill High School. He is very well versed in livestock evaluation, having competed on several evaluation teams, and he judges across the Pacific Northwest on a regular basis. Jared was with us last year. We're happy to have him back. Let's go ahead and welcome Jared to our goat show and to Cook County. Goats. We have a single entry out here in the FFA division. I think a goat that sounds a little cliche, but I think it's true out here that a goat that could stand some competition. Just to talk about this goat and some of the pieces that I really like about it. I love this goat with the side profile. It really striking when you get this goat driving into you. I like how elevated this goat is up through his chest form. Just balances out really nice for me. I like that width through the chest, and I like that how the neck attaches really neat at the top of the shoulder, and I like the levelness at hip that this goat offers as well. So once again, a goat that's just really striking on the side profile that you can appreciate. A goat that's also finished really nicely. I think it's at the right weight for where this goat is in terms of his frame size. If I could be ultra critical of this goat, I would say I think we could just scout this goat up just a little bit. I think we can make it a little wider as pins, give a little more dimension to inner and outer thigh, and then you'd have a really, really good one on your hands. But a goat that you like from the side, you like the stoutness, a big top type of a goat. That if I could just change him a little bit, I just give him a little extra stoutness and power and view from the rear. But overall, nice job. The young lady's done a nice job feeding and presenting this goat out here today. Congratulations. Obviously, a first place and a champion will go to the young lady.
this morning, and
class and then go to intermediates and then go to seniors. We have 3 classes in the junior, and we're starting out with class 1, which is Kyle Knight.
Is it all right if I start? Yeah. All right, we got a single entry out here in the junior class out here. Kind of the way we're doing this is we'll evaluate them based upon their confirmation of their goat, and then also we're going to select a individual out of each class that kind of represents their breed really well in terms of their showmanship skills, and we'll talk about that individually. So we only got one entry in here with the young man in the junior class. I think a goat that has got some pieces that we can definitely appreciate. I like the top shape of this goat. It's set fairly wide at his pin set. For me, this goat maybe wants to just get a little bit less dimensional when we view it from the rear. It doesn't quite have the stoutness and the powers we'd like to see. And if I can also be critical of this goat, I think it wants to get a little bit deeper and heavier in his chest floor, and then wants to get a little bit more bolder at the point of his shoulder. I'd like to smooth that goat enough and just make it a little more jacked up through its front end for me today. Goat's being a little bit steppy for the young man. I was watching it and we kind of talked about it, and he kind of was able to move that goat into place a couple of times for me. I think that goat's just not really wanting to be a very good dance partner for him today, but he's holding on, doing the best that he can. Once again, a goat that has some pieces that you can appreciate, some top shape. We just like to give this goat a little more base in him, and then just really elevate that goat up to his front end and kind of jack it up into his chest floor. But overall, a nice goat. Congratulations to the young man. definitely that case with these top two goats out here. I think we have one that's really stout and powerful and big topped and maybe lacks a little bit in design. Another one that maybe sacrifices a little bit of total volume as a way, or the goat behind it does, but still balances up so nice and has a really neat eye appeal. For me, I'm going to go ahead and use the one that's the best designed goat in here, and that's the young lady on this side. I think this goat's just really attractive on the side profile. We like the loveness at top. In addition, this goat still handles really good, really fresh over that top. I think a goat that just kind of has that eye appeal and still carries enough stoutness and balance for me today to go ahead and move to the top of the class. Congratulations to the young lady. The goat in second, I think if you want to talk about a goat that's really stout featured and white pin, I think you can't deny the overall volume and mass in this goat here in second. And I could see where a judge would maybe want to side with that total volume. For me, this goat just really wants to kind of get weak in that top line, break right behind that shoulder, get a little bit heavier front end, just be a little bit looser, hided type of a goat that kind of wants to round out that hip structure for me today. That's why it's going to be in second, but still you can't deny the overall stoutness and volume of that goat there in second. Young man third's got a goat that you like in terms of its length and its extension, a goat that is nice in the profile. For me, just wants to be a little bit plainer. Its design doesn't handle with the same freshness and firmness as the two ahead of it, but it's still a goat that you like in terms of its overall extension, especially up out of that shoulder. And for me, just doesn't have the power to get ahead of these two. In terms of showmanship, I think they're all doing a pretty good job. For me, the young lady that started this class has done a really good job out here. I like how she gets that goat bracing and she gets those leg feet, the leg and feet placement correct when she's out here. The young lady in second there, I think she does a nice job as well. Sometimes I think you get that goat a little bit underneath it. I think you can kind of get that goat just bracing and stress just ever so slightly and really show off the assets that that goat has for you. And then the young man kind of you have that goat driving at times, and also that goat was a little bit steppy for you. Didn't really want to move across the ring. But overall, nice group. Congratulations to all three of you.
This is a nice class of 2Us. I'm going to leave them just how they are. The young lady up there will be first and she'll be second. The U that I decided to start out with, she's really wide and opened up at the ground.
The two really nice entries that we have out here in this next class, I think ultra stout, big footed, wide chested, big top. I mean, just a powerhouse of a goat that you can't help but enjoy looking at. Just a really white, stout one. But at the same time, this coach still wants to balance up for me. Yeah, he's been getting a little bit heavier in his condition for me, maybe a little bit deeper in his chest floor. But I think he maintains the power that he has quite well. Really big down that top and certainly doesn't disappoint. I love how big-footed and wide-chested this goat is. Young lady, you got a good one there that you're showing today. Congratulations. Young lady that's going to be there in second, I think another goat that you like up to that length, to that front end with that length and extension. I think a goat that has some angularity and smoothness through that shoulder. For me, just wants to get a little bit weaker down that top line, and kind of wants to round out that hip structure for me. Just give this goat just a little stoutness power, but I love the length of body that I go off. Real tight-heighted kind of a goat there in second. Showmanship-wise, I think it's awfully close amongst both of you young ladies. I think you're both working hard out here. For me, the young lady here's got a goat that's just going to be working with her a little better dance partner. I get those legs set a little bit wider when, as compared to where they are right now, to be double checking those legs constantly, and getting that foot placement just a little bit better. Young lady, I know your goat's pretty steppy right now, as we can see, and that can be frustrating, but you stuck with it. I think you might want to try and embrace that goat and just maybe give it a little nudge here and there, as opposed to completely letting its head down and then making those feet placements. I think you might have a little better luck with that, just like we have that goat stuck right now. I think you've done a really nice job out here. So we had first place the young lady right here, second the other young lady, and that's the way I saw him today. So congratulations. Thank you.
We're going to take a 40-minute break. We are going to come back and
Julia Lester.
Well, a fun class to evaluate out here. I think it's got some challenges out here and some different types and kinds. For me, I think the goat that kind of puts the most balance together in terms of both muscularity and offering a look out here in the show ring is going to be the young lady here on the end. I think this goat's super long-sided, really big top, stout bone. I think a goat that just kind of puts a lot of good things together for me out here. I think the goat that maybe we can make just a touch leveler out that hip, but overall, that's a big-footed, stout one that has got a good look on the side. Congratulations, young lady. You raised a good one. I think the interesting part comes in between second and third for me today. I think if you want to say which goat in here is the most expressly muscled goat in here, undeniably the goat in second is. That goat is really ripped up, really wants to pop up in that jump muscle, kind of a little bit of an anomaly in terms of how much pop that goat has over his top. For me, if I get a little bit critical, this goat just kind of wants to get a little bit relaxed in his top line, kind of wants to break right behind his shoulder there for a little bit and just doesn't give me that smooth look as what the goat in third does. I like the goat in third in terms of just a little bit smoother in its design and offering a little more eye appeal and just in terms of its overall balance. But for me, this goat in third just doesn't have the overall pop and muscularity that goat has in second. But I think an interesting pair between those two. I think the goat in fourth that comes in there is another goat that has a good top. Handles pretty good when I get my hands on. That's kind of what got him up in that spot. Another one that's pretty tall up through that front end. I'd like to change this goat and make it leveler out his hip and give it a little bit more. And just make it a little bit more leveler out that top, and especially ones right behind that shoulder. Design standpoint, there's some things we'd like change about that brown goat. If you get your hands on this goat, he certainly doesn't disappoint. You're just kind of moving in that forced hold. The goat there that comes in second to last, I think, is a goat that rivaled the brown goat for me today in terms of maybe having a little more balanced look. For me, this goat just wants to get too soft in its overall condition, deep in its chest floor, and just not quite balance up for me as much as what I'd like to see. But still, I think a goat that has some value there in terms of being opened up. I'd also like to see this goat just handle a little better when I get my hands on it. He wants to get a little bit more rounded, nondescript when I get my hands on that top. The goat that's going to come in next, I think, is a little bit similar case as the goat ahead of him. Wants to be a little bit deeper in his chest floor, a little bit of a softer middle type of goat that doesn't carry that into being as thick as what we'd like to see with the rear. Just give a little shot of dimension, the muscularity to that inner and outer thigh. And showmanship wise, I think we got some good showmen out here. Some ones that are working really hard, and they put they put some good things together. And for me, if I want to take two back out of this ring, we'll take the young lady in the red in second, and then the young lady here that's going to be second in the end. She'll also come back for the callback. Some really good showmen, some great goats. Congratulations, all of you. All right, a challenging class for me out here. Maybe some people will kind of look at this class and they think these 4 goats come together pretty quickly and you can sort them off really easily. For me, I kind of had different placings in my mind throughout this class, and I kind of had them sorted different ways. And this is the way I see it in terms of putting the most good together. I think the young man that over here in the Indians is going to start with our class there. I think this goat's long-sided, big top. A goat that's right in terms of condition, probably has the best handle in the class for me. I like how that goat's really wide and stands wide up through that front, wide-chested, and it balances up for me enough today. Is this goat the most powerful in terms of his bone work? No. Is it the widest in his pins? Probably not. But I think if you add up the good in terms of having the right amount of condition, a big enough top on it, and having that balanced look, this goat just kind of comes to the top for me. The goat comes in second, I think, is a goat that you like in terms of that front end. I think that front end structure is really well designed. I like how that neck comes right out of the top of that shoulder. For me, this goat really kind of gets a little bit relaxed in his top line. He doesn't handle as good as what I thought he would, and then he just doesn't quite have that additional shot of muscularity I was hoping that he would. But I think overall that's a really good design goat, and sticking with the theme of picking ones that are going to put the most good together, that goat just kind of fits logically in there in that second hole for me. Black-headed goat is a goat that I had bounced around this class in a lot of different places. If you want to talk about the stoutest bone goat here in the class, I wouldn't disagree with you. Okay, a really tall front-end goat that's got a lot of length of body. So there's a lot of good in that black-headed goat for me today. But I get critical of this goat in terms of his structure. It wants to be a little bit weak in that top line, really round in that hip structure. Doesn't want to be set as wide in that pin set as what I'd like to see. So that hip structure and that design, I got critical of and wants to get a little bit deeper in his chest floor. But still, if you want to talk about a goat that's really stout boned and stout featured, of course, you can't deny that black-headed goat there in that third hole. The goat there that would be the fourth, I think, has got some pieces we like. We like how, the amount of volume that goat has, really big rib type of a goat. For me, wants to just give it round and plain and nondescript in its overall pattern for me today. But a class that I thought was relatively challenging. I didn't think we had a goat that necessarily accelerated really quickly at the top, or one that rose to or fell to the bottom relatively quickly. I thought overall they were fairly close in their own right, even though we have some different types and kinds out here. This is the way I saw the class. I thought overall that a good quality. We'll give them a round of applause. And before we do that, in terms of showmanship, I thought the 2 individuals that we had at the top of the class, taking nothing away from the other 2, I think they all did great in their own job, in their own right. The top 2 in this class will also be the showmen that I would recognize in this class as well. They're all 4 working very hard. Congratulations to all 4 of you.
Reynolds, third to Kaylin Dover, and fourth to Aaron Crawford. And the first 2 will be on callback.